NFL Nation, we are back, and we are back with only 2 weeks of football left. The semifinals, the conference championships. It was a stressful week last week. Not for Dave, but for me, unfortunately. But Dave, congrats on your Eagles. How you feeling tonight?
Hey, Joe, great season by the Giants. I tell everyone, like, they outperformed their expectations, and you guys should hold your heads high because the Eagles did this last year. They lost in the first round, actually, didn't win a round in the playoffs, and it takes a little bit of being there to make that next step. So I think you guys got a bright future, but I am feeling good. I had another show early in the year. I had Eagles Niners in the conference championship. So I got some shares on both sides of this, but obviously, I'm bleeding green, and I'm pumped for this weekend.
Yeah, and I said all year, I think best case scenario for the Giants that they get some playoff experience. They're young, get these guys in the playoffs. They got there. They won a game. Admittedly, I think we got ahead of ourselves a little bit, and we're like, well, we won a game, maybe we give it more. But I would say the Eagles looked really good. And, last week I picked the Super Bowl to be Bengals 49ers, but after I saw the Eagles put a whooping on the Giants, I think I like the Eagles now because that's a well-balanced team. There's not many weaknesses. I'd be feeling good right now if I were you. Jay, how you doing tonight?
I just noticed something. I don't know if you guys noticed something, but did you guys watch that intro to our show at all? Like, did you see
TB12?
All right, who came after or before him?
Mac Jones.
Justin Jefferson was there. And then who finished? Christian McCaffrey. So basically, it's like a sequence of everybody getting knocked out of the playoffs. It was like, so that makes it, and we didn't plan that. Like, that's been our intro for like 18 weeks. It just happened to be those players. Kind of makes me feel like the Eagles are probably going to win here. We're on the Eagles anyways. I already bet the Eagles. And McCaffrey's now in the Niners. So I guess he's the last man out. So congrats to the Eagles. I bet the Eagles last week, Joel. I'm sorry. The smart people around me said, bet the Eagles. They're just a way better team. The Giants really shouldn't be there. So I went and did that. And then smart people around me told me to bet the Eagles already against the Niners at 2.5. So I bet it when we're doing the live series show. And then some smart people around me said, wait on the Bengals. You might be able to get a better number on the Bengals. And we didn't bet the Bengals. And it went from them getting 1.5 to now minus 2.5. Now, Dave, you've been around betting for quite some time. You got a lot of gray hairs in your beard. So have you ever seen anything like this before where a team – without an injury, and I've heard good things about Mahomes. Like, Mahomes it's better than they thought. How did that line move 4 points? Basically within 24 hours, less.
Because bettors aren't dumb. The Chiefs can say all they want. High ankle sprains don't get better in 60s. And I think there's some real merit to the fact that injury is a lot worse than maybe they want to admit, right? So I think bettors are onto something here. And I think as long as it stays under the key number, what do you care if it was +1 or -1.5? I think this game's somewhere in the 3 to 4 point range. I don't think it makes a huge difference. I don't think it gets to 3, though. That's where I think Vegas is going to want to kind of hold some of the money coming in because they know if it gets to 3, that's KC all day.
Joe, what's your thoughts, man? We were leaning Eagles. We're both on the Eagles side. Do you think the Bengals are still worth betting on at this number at 2.5? Like, are the Bengals the way better team here? Because, it's so crazy this whole NFL season. You look at a team 1 week, then you look at the team next week. You almost lost to Tyler Huntley, and we're like, the Bengals aren't that good. Everybody's like, Bills are going to just roll over on them. Sharp people around me said, take the 4.5. Bills going to roll it home. It's Hamlin. It's the whole situation. Everything just makes sense. And then Joe Burrow goes out there and lights them up. And now everybody wants to bet on the Bengals. But, like, if Tyler Huntley didn't fumble that ball, they could have been out in the first round. Is this Bengals team legit, or is it just we're feeling good because they beat the Bills on the road?
I think the factor that I'm taking the Bengals, but not for the reasons you said, more because the Chiefs are one player. I mean, they're not one player, but for the most part, they live and die by Patrick Mahomes, and he looks hurt. And if you're getting a Patrick Mahomes that can't run around, that's a significant factor that I'd rather take the Bengals than a hobbled Mahomes. So for that reason, unless the news changes this week and it turns out he's fine and he's going to be full go, then maybe I'll change my mind. But from what I saw last week to what I'm hearing now, he's not healthy. Even if he plays, he's not playing healthy. For that reason, I think the Bengals are the better bet.
Yeah, everybody's leaning that way. Bengals and Chiefs right now. I mean, Bengals and Eagles right now. Well, let's talk to these two games before we do our DraftCast show. Break down the Niners side for me. That game's kicking off at 3 o'clock on Sunday in Philly. Purdy. Nobody's going to play Purdy. Is there any merit to play Purdy? Because nobody's going to be playing Purdy in a 2-game slate. He's cheap. And his weapons around him. Who do you want to go to here? It looks like Kittle emerged. He's the stud that kind of saved the day for him last week against Dallas. How do you feel about the offenses around Purdy? And then also, Dave, you can chime in about your Eagles and talk about them.
Well, what I'll add about Purdy is my take or my stance typically on a small slate like this with only 2 games is that it's more valuable to go for the lowest owned quarterback. For this reason, he can get you there by having a great game, which he's capable of having. He can go out there and throw 3 TDs this week. But also he can get you there by just no one else having a great game, right? Like if the other game just ends up being low scoring, he can just be low scoring too, but because he's the cheapest and he had 201 and that's really just as good as the other guys and you can build the rest of your team around that, getting the cheapest quarterback who gets a similar price and lets you build out elsewhere will also be just as good. So that ownership leverage with the fact that there's only one other game, I think makes Purdy very viable this week. Dave,
talk about your Eagles, man.
Yeah, and Joel, I think you have a good point. Purdy, my thing with Purdy is he's convinced me he's only a middle of the field guy. He cannot throw outside the hatches and he can't go deep. So he's going to have to dink dunk and get some, those Kittle juggle plays. So if I'm going to pair anything up with him, I'm going to pair it up with Kittle, obviously. I think that's a good spot for San Fran. They're going to have to be able to dominate the middle of the field. Now, from the Eagles' perspective, I think they're just so versatile. I know San Fran's D's number 1 all around. I know they are against the rush, but they're not very good against the pass. I think this is A.J. Brown time over and over and over again. He had a little rough outing last week, but he still showed up, blocked people to the ground. And I think this is the focus and showcase a guy like AJ. So AJ's my big player on the Eagles side this week. With another dose of Devontae Smith, I can see both receivers going off and putting up big numbers. Let's look what CeeDee Lamb did last week. I think 11 catches. So number ones have really DK Metcalf hurt the Niners in the first round. Number ones have really hurt the Niners. I think you got a chance from a fantasy perspective with A.J. Brown putting up big numbers and Devontae following suit.
Yeah, I'm taking notes, so I'm going to be drafting A.J. Brown first. Make sure Dave doesn't get him. Purdy, I'm not really sure about, man. I'm really not sure. If you can't put up points against Dallas, Eagles, similar defense, worries me a little bit. But for Joel's point, he's going to be under-owned. He opens things up. So every quarterback's in play and every running back's in play because it's going to be tight. And I was going to mention one thing about San Fran. Elijah Mitchell was getting touches there, man. If he just falls into the end zone on a short slate like this when there's not too many options at the running back position, he was getting touches. He's 4,900. He'll probably be like the lower owned of the actual feasible guys that are going to go out there. Like, I don't know if Boston Scott's going to score another touchdown in a tighter game against San Fran here. So I think a guy like Elijah Mitchell becomes interesting. And I also do think that McCaffrey is banged up. You saw him there. There's a reason why he was also – yeah, he was banged up. His calf or his ankle or his leg, somewhere in that quadrant, was getting heat, stim in the game. He wasn't in their big spots. He wasn't in on a lot of first down, second downs. He's out there just for third down. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think that's a place to get to. And if he just falls into the end zone, a big question mark is to fade or not fade McCaffrey on this slate. So I think a good way to fade him is also going out there and playing Elijah Mitchell. So I'm going to keep that, as something that I might get to in my main lineup. He's definitely in the player pool. Outside of that, you guys nailed it. Dave, before we hop over to the second game of the day, talk about this backfield. The the Eagles has done it every single week where it's like, let's just give Sanders all the yardage. Let's give Gainwell and Scott equal touchdown equity, and then Jalen Hurts is also going to rush one in. So, like, how do you get this right from week to week? This will be a closer game. This won't be the game where they're going to be, they can just roll over the Giants. They're not going to roll over the Niners here. So, which running backs do you prioritize in the Eagles' backfield?
Yeah, I'll still prioritize Sanders. The only thing about Sanders is, and we've known it all season, I think he ranks about 48th in run catches, and rightfully so, about the same in targets. He's not very good out of the backfield catching the balls. So he really hurts you from a fantasy perspective. That's not scoring. If for me, the salary can more than using Sanders.
Joe, I think Dave was cutting up a little bit there. Do you have any take there on Philly in the backfield? Is there a place that you feel comfortable, or are you just fading this backfield?
This is not a backfield position that I like for them, but I think for the same reason I said earlier, taking a shot on one of these secondary Philly backs is okay. Then one of them sneaks in, whether it's Gainwell. I'm even okay with Sanders as he's so cheap. The ownership will be low. I just don't think there's going to be a big ceiling running back game. So finding someone cheap who can get you just the minimum points, I think might be the formula opposed to chasing the guy who has the highest ceiling, because I just don't think the ceiling is going to exist this weekend.
Yeah, running backs are tough across the board. Now, Joe, Bengals, Chiefs, you told us you're on the Bengals. I'm leaning Bengals. I think all of America right now is leaning Bengals, Eagles for the most part, unless you're Niners fans or you're Chiefs fans. Now, Burrow looked electric, man. He just took it to Josh Allen. Everybody's calling him the better quarterback. He's taken out Patrick Mahomes the last couple of times they met as well. He is now the favorite going into KC, whether it's the injury or not. We're not really sure yet, but Burrow looks legit. The passing game chases the number one spot. Hayden Hurst had a big game. Higgins got enough, made a nice play late. Tyler Boyd got a couple touches there. Mixon emerged as the best running back of the slate, heavily involved. P. Ryan got a little touch here or there. Talk about the backfield. Is there any value in P. Ryan? Are you lock button Mixon at a discount off of McCaffrey? Mixon's going to be the most popular guy out there. How do you feel about the backfield and the Cincinnati side offensively?
I think, P. Ryan's a good pivot, right? Like, if you're looking for a low ownership guy who's going to get a few touches, if you burst one, you'll be really low owned who can get you there. I'm okay with it. Definitely not someone I would play in cash or anything like that, because he's for sure risky. But I think he's like I said, my strategy this week, especially for GPPs, is just playing the fact that there's only 2 games. Like, there's the possibility that there just is no ceiling running back. So go ahead and take a shot on a P. Ryan or someone, and if he gets you whatever it would be, 30 yards and a touchdown, that will be in the winning lineup because no one had a big day. So that's how I would approach it. I think the Bengals are going to score. This Chiefs defense hasn't shown to be that strong. So I think points are to be had on the Cincy side.
Yeah, running backs on the Kansas City side, they've been flip-flopping. This is a really tough slate when it comes to running backs, because if you're not playing McCaffrey or you just lock in Mixon or one of the two, it's dicey across the board. Cincinnati's defense stepped up last week. Pacheco ran really well. McKinnon wasn't involved. Everybody was, flocking to McKinnon. This might be the week of McKinnon if they're trailing more. McKinnon's out there laying blocks on people. He just didn't get those touches or real receptions out of the backfield. So it's a roll of the dice here with a lot of these running backs. There's no clear-cut guy. So I would say get some shares and play a strategy. If you think the Bengals are going to be behind, you get a little bit more McKinnon. If you think the Chiefs are going to be ahead, you play a little bit more Pacheco here. He'll finish a game for you if they're carrying a lead. From the passing attack, I've kind of faded Kansas City all year long. Kelsey's the only guy that I've kind of gravitated to at times. Didn't play him a bunch last week. He obviously went bonkers. He'll definitely be popular this week. But there's values with Hayden Hurst, Goddard, Kittle, all value guys over Kelsey. But it looks like if Mahomes is hobbled, it's going to be more Kelsey. So you're going to want to try to get Kelsey in your lineup as well. the pass catchers, Juju, MVS, Tony, they've been so inconsistent all year long. I couldn't tell you with a straight face which one I think is going to go off in this game. It's not like one of them has a better matchup. Kansas City, they just spread the ball around. They really spread the ball around. And Cincinnati's defense, they got some lockdown corners, so it's a tough spot there. Now, Dave, do you see a weakness on this Cincinnati defense? Because they've been back and forth this year, but they played really well last week.
Yeah, it's Eli Apple. But outside of that, no. And I do think that Kansas City may be able to take advantage of some of that on the outside. But underneath, it's going to be tough because Mahomes, he showed last week on one ankle, his targets down the field were none. I think his average distance downfield once he hurt his ankle was like 6 yards. So I think Cincinnati brings a tight line of scrimmage game, keeps Kelsey contained. And the way we get points on KC's receivers is probably from guys like not MVS, but Juju and maybe Tony this week. But it's going to have to be some guys a little bit downfield because that's their best shot. I think the Logan Wilsons and stuff are going to keep everything contained in the box.
Yeah, so we got a 2-game slate. We're going to try our best to do a DraftCast, pick our players. It's super tough. Me and Joel were victorious last week where we kind of paired together. We took the W, but the Eagles crew took the W with real life. Fantasy is what it all counts. So who cares about real life? We want those bragging rights. Dave, he's supposed to be chugging the beer. Tony's scared to come back on the show because he doesn't want to chug his beer. But let's do a DraftCast. Joel, since you picked Kelsey and you were on the winning team, you can decide our fate here. There's more strategy than ever as far as, getting your picks right. So you decide the order here, bud.
There is more strategy than ever, which is like I'm trying to figure out where I want to pick to make sure I nail those guys I want to grab. And I think that's going to put me in All right. I'm gonna go second. I'll let Dave go first and Jason last.
Okay.
Not the ideal spot, but I appreciate it. Tough weekend, as we already mentioned, but I think the first guy we got to target against the defense, I think he's going to eat alive. I'm going to go out and get Burrow.
Not Brock Purdy, huh? All right.
No, not Brock.
No, it's interesting because I have a similar thought to you. I wasn't going to take Burrow first, but the first pick I was going to take Jamar Chase, so I'll go ahead and take him here second. Same thought process. I think that's the right spot to attack that passing attack. So I'm glad to get Chase and get my shares of it here at number 2.
So screw both of you guys. I made a lineup on a serious show on Sunday. I was going to see how close I can get to it. Obviously, I had Burrow and Chase in it, but I don't want to get stuck with an injured Mahomes here. I don't want to get stuck with Purdy. So I'll go Jalen Hurts and Joe Mixon. I think those guys, based on the strategy of how we're playing here, it's the best spots to take off the board. So back to you, Joe.
Well, there you have it. I mean, I guess we did talk about it. I could take Purdy. I'll see how this draft plays out. I guess I'm not trapped into Mahomes yet. I'm going to go ahead and make things tough for Dave here, and I'm going to take Higgins. I'll take the whole passing attack. Yep, I'm going to double it up. I'll take Higgins and go with Chase.
Okay.
It does make it tough, and 5,400 is an absolute steal for Higgins on this slate. I think he might be the best value of the whole slate. So good pick, and yes, that's where I was targeting at least one, but I'll take my favorite receiver of the weekend. I'll get A.J. Brown in there now. Like we already said, Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, number one's been very good against the Niners so far. And that does throw a little wrinkle in the – I'm going to go McKinnon. I think they'll be down. I think he'll have to be in play a lot more this week, and especially out of the backfield for catches.
Taking all my picks.
Where am I going to? All right, then I'm going to go ahead and take give me Kelsey. Give me the best
You
player on
bastard.
the board. I figure just having to beat the two of you, I feel like Kelsey's safe to get me points at the tight end position. So
Ugh.
I like that strategically here.
Who the hell is left? Give me ugh. Give me let's see here. Give me all right, you guys. This is not my lineup that I had anything close to, but give me Devontae Smith and Joe's got two expensive guys. And all right, I have to go this route. I didn't want to go this route, but give me McCaffrey then.
Okay.
I'm probably fading McCaffrey, full disclosure, in my main lineup. But since you guys took the pricey guys that I wanted, AJ Brown and Jamar Chase and Kelsey, Joe screwed me with the third pick here. So I probably shouldn't have taken McCaffrey because I don't even know if you guys could have fit McCaffrey in, but I'll take him and let's see what happens.
Let's see. I'm trying to do some defensive drafting. Okay, Dave still needs a running back. All right. All right. I'm going to go ahead here and take George Kittle to pair with Kelsey to really defensively put you guys in trouble with the tight end position. And then I'm going to pair him with. I'm going to go with. There's two guys I'm thinking about. Maybe Miles Sanders.
All right. All right. So, I got to pair Burrow with somebody, and one of his favorite targets last week was Hurst. So I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of money left over, but I'll take Hurst there at 3,000, and I'll come back with Debo. Eagles have the best two cornerbacks in the league, but Debo is not necessarily a wide receiver. He could end up being a running back this weekend. Who knows? So I'll take Debo because I think they'll find creative ways to get him 15 touches.
It's a good pick. I probably should have taken him in my next. I was planning to take Debo. Thought I could maybe wait. So good pick. I like him there. It actually changes the direction I'm going to go with maybe my next, but there's actually no one else to take because we've taken everyone.
Yeah.
So it's not like I have many options. All right, go ahead and give me Mitchell. We'll take Mitchell here, Elijah Mitchell.
This sucks.
Right.
Who decided to do this?
Real fast. Joel took two from the. Wait a second. Joel took two from the number 2 position last round, Kittle and Sanders.
Thief, bro. Thief.
Right.
Yo, he made this draft order where he gets this number 2 pick and then he's spiking picks. So what should we do here? What's the ruling here, Dave? Did you really do this?
Dave should put Debo back in the pool, and then he can have Miles Sanders.
No,
I'm good. I'm thinking he gets Miles and Kittle.
What do you took
Eli.
Kelsey and then he took Sanders afterwards? Is that the move?
No, he took Kittle and Sanders on the same Kittle and Sanders.
Right. So basically just remove
Mitchell.
You got to remove Mitchell. Yeah, you got to remove Mitchell.
Yeah,
and
whatever.
if you want Sanders, you can have him.
No,
I need a wide receiver here. Wide receiver is ugly. You guys both took your tight. Oh, you took Hayden Hurst too? Bastard. So you guys have your tight ends already. I will take Tyler Boyd. And if I do that, sucks, bro. There's no guys to even spend money on. It's nuts here. You guys left me with no wide receivers to go out and get. Oh man, this is so ugly. Higgins is gone, Samuel's gone, Chase is gone. Ayuk is still there.
Yep.
Yeah, give me Ayuk over Juju. Hope he does something.
All right, Joel. I say if you want Eli, it's all yours now.
I've actually changed my mind on Eli. I don't want him anymore. I no longer am in need of Eli. Yeah, I'm going to take Pacheco.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Pacheco.
All right. I like it.
So
All right.
gross.
I'm gonna. This is for Jay. I'll take Dallas Goddard.
Yo, why did you do that,
Double
bro?
up on.
Why the fuck did you
Bro,
do that?
He's the
I
best
have no
receiver
time.
out there.
Oh man, you screwed up
He's
my
the best.
entire plan. Now I'm stuck with Noah
Well,
Gray. You guys doubled up on tight ends. I'm gonna have like $1 million left in my
receiver.
salary.
Well, I'll take him,
That's
and I
good.
will take Juju. Like I said, I think they got to get outside the box a little bit here, so I'll take Juju.
Bro,
This is getting ugly for me.
forget ugly, bro. Like, look at my watch my rest of my picks, bro. I have nothing. I have so much salary left over. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we all do.
Give me Bengals, D.
Oh, that's my D too, bro. You scum. All right, give me Kenny Gainwell and the Eagles D, whatever. And if you want to finish drawing my team out, it's Noah Gray because there's no tight ends left, you bastards. This was the least fun DraftCast ever.
Eagles, what were they?
All right, I guess.
I mean, we're all going to score like 70. All right.
As gross as it is, I guess I'm gonna go with Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Are you going Purdy or are you going
Mahomes?
This is gross.
What's his salary?
30.
What's MVS? He's God.
3600.
Yeah.
The Goddard pick.
All right. Well, you did. Yeah, well, you guys got me a little bit here, but I guess I'm going to go Eli Mitchell then. Yeah, we'll do that. And then, shit, I can't do this. I'm going to take the Chiefs today. I can't take the Niners today.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
Chiefs.
All right.
No, I don't.
You got all right, so Mahomes and
take
Noah Gray, I guess. Is there a better tight end than Noah Gray?
Right.
No, right? Yeah, it's Mahomes and Noah Gray. This is gross, bro. This is absolutely gross. Hope nobody plays any of these lineups.
Like, there's a lot out there. You can build a lot of lineups.
No, the thing I would suggest is, we should just note that, going out there and leaving salary left over is definitely a good idea on this slate. Obviously, like I built a lineup originally without you guys taking all my players, with a nice Cincy stack, with Kelsey double tight end. There's a lot of nice ways to build to use all your lineups and get everything in there, but drafting against two other people and limiting that player pool in a 2-game slate, super tough. Joel, your main stack, you're gonna end up going with Burrow, Chase, even if it's popular. You're just gonna ride or die if that's your single entry lineup.
I mean, in terms of raw projection, I think that's the best stack to make this week. That's where I'd safest would play cash games and things like that, but certainly makes sense to get different if you're going to go for a big tournament.
Okay, and if you were to get different, it's with Jalen Hurts, it's with Patrick Mahomes, it's a Purdy stack. Which one is it?
I think there's a game theory where Purdy makes sense, not because it's a great matchup, but because I think there's a world where Mahomes is hurt, doesn't have a good game. That becomes a low-scoring game. The Niners D maybe slows down Hurts. And just with the sheer fact that nobody has more than 20 points, if Purdy gets like 15, his price is worth playing because no one's going to have a big day. So I think from that theory, and you're getting him at a pretty low ownership, he makes sense.
Dave, are you suggesting to fade McCaffrey or play McCaffrey at this high total or a high price?
Fade. Yeah, I'm a fade McCaffrey this week. The Eagles, if there's one spot they're susceptible, it is in the running game defensively. But I didn't like what I saw. He played third downs for the most part of the fourth quarter last week in crunch time when they needed key yards. So, I'm sure he'll be okay to start the game, but I have a little concern about spending $8,000 for someone that was a third down back for the most part of the fourth quarter last week. So I would play more Elijah Mitchell. I liked where you were going earlier.
Yeah, I think that's a real thing this week. I really do. I think that's a situation that we can get into. Fading McCaffrey, loading up on receivers. Initial gut feel would be try to get Kelsey in there, try to get Jamar Chase in there. Potentially, go get either Devontae Smith or AJ Brown or both. There's ways to get creative. If you discount a couple spots. I like the Bengals defense as well. They're the cheapest defense with Mahomes being hurt, but they're going to be popular. So that's the only problem there. If you just keep picking everybody who's popular, you won't be different at all. But AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, Dave, you mentioned you liked AJ Brown better in this spot than Devontae.
I do. I think the fact is, AJ is a little bit more of a possession receiver. And we saw the volume from both DK and CD from those types of – and AJ can break it long, don't get me wrong. But I just think he's a guy they're going to rely on in that number one slot against either of the Niners D-backs there. And, I like AJ a little more. I do.
Yep, that's it. That's pretty much it for the show. We're going to be putting out articles at WinDailySports.com. We'll have our lineup optimizer going. We have projection models going. Plenty of articles. Doing more shows. We'll be on Sirius on Saturday as well. I'll be away, but Sia is going to be hosting the show on Saturday. Maybe we'll have some guys stopping by, giving out some good content. Keep track of Mahomes. Things may change throughout the week. I would, temper my expectations of Mahomes, but if everybody's off Mahomes and he's playing from behind, it doesn't mean he can't go out there and throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns and still lead the slate in scoring here. Rushing upside will be down. He won't be my main quarterback, but we're just playing the ownership game here, so don't just rule out Patrick Mahomes. Maybe the coach talk is real. Maybe his ankle's actually feeling better, and he got good treatment, whatever the case may be. He's Superman, and things are going better there. So keep an eye on everything. Make multiple lineups. Don't just go in there with one lineup. So whatever your budget is, chop it down. So if you got $10, enter 4 or 5 lineups for $1 or $2 a piece. If you have 100, split it up with some single entries, some big GPPs, and get enough lineups throughout where you're going to get shares, and try to get different with a couple lineups. Check out the lineup optimizer, WinDailySports.com. We have ownership up there as well. So it's not live yet, but as we get closer to Sunday, we'll have ownership there as well. So make sure you check that out. It's super important on a 2-game slate. Just get different with a couple spots. Hayden Hurst looks like a great value spot. Double tight end looks like a great spot because these wide receivers, once you come off the top end, they really do suck. Like, there's not many guys that I feel super confidence in outside of maybe Tyler Boyd getting involved or maybe taking a shot on one of these Kansas City receivers. Everything through San Fran is probably going to go to those main guys that we talked about. Everything through the Philly offense should probably go through those main guys. So I would try to take shots on Cincy and potentially Kansas City for value wide receivers. But running back's tough, very tough slate. Get different. You shouldn't feel comfortable with your lineup when you're done with it. If you feel comfortable with your lineup, you probably have a very chalky lineup, and it's probably not going to do that great this weekend. So we're out of here. Joe, any last thoughts before we head out?
Good luck this week. I'm rooting for the Bengals. Go Bengals.
Dave, last thoughts?
Fly, Eagles, fly.